Hey, this is Trey Kay, host of West Virginia Public Broadcasting's podcast, Us and Them. 2 days after the 2024 presidential election, we brought together the Us and Them dinner party. Now, since the run-up of the 2020 election, we've gathered together 8 West Virginians, 4 conservative and 4 liberal, diverse in age, gender, and race, to gather together for a meal and talk about the issues that divide us. This year's gathering was our most honest and emotionally charged to date. Tensions ran high at the table, mirroring the atmosphere in households across the country. The emotions were still raw from the election, and we asked our guests to speak their minds. Frank, you kind of laid it out there, is that there's this idea that there's kind of like a big machine.
Yeah, it was.
Does anybody here feel like that there is a big machine? Jay?
I most definitely feel that there is. Whenever you look at the lawfare that was used against him, you had a woman that they got the judgment from with no evidence, couldn't remember the exact
Which
time.
Which one are you talking about?
The one in New York
Oh, okay.
that supposedly, no specific evidence or anything. He was not allowed to bring what he wanted into the court. The judge ruled against him. That would have contradicted her character.
So this is the civil lawsuit, right?
The civil lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other lawfare with Aletta James and the crazy judge that says Mar-a-Lago's only worth $20 million.
Which lawsuit are we talking about?
Is that the New York
Aragon. Yeah.
properties one?
Oh, you're talking about, okay.
Two different. I'm talking about two different.
You said what confused me is that it's Tish James in the Letitia James.
Letitia James.
Okay,
I said Loretta. I'm sorry. Letitia. And whenever she run, saying she was going to get him for something, and then she uses a law that under appeal, the case under appeal, the appellate judges had trouble wrapping their hands around it.
Was there a ruling on that?
Not yet, but the commentators that I hear, liberal commentators and conservative, they think the appellate court's going to kick it out. Many of them do. And it's purely lawfare, and it's a machine trying to do him in.
Anybody? Lexi, I'm just looking at you down there, or Bunmi, you're an attorney.
Let me say another. I'm not wildly enthusiastic with the way it turned out. I'm just hoping that it mends some of the country. Tickled absolutely to death that there were not the protests and everything that went on in 16 yet. Anyway, tickled plumb to death.
Do you think this one was fair?
What are you referring to?
Whoa. Do I think this one was fair?
Not January the 6th? What are we talking about?
Well, I'm sorry.
Whoa.
I don't know which way to go.
So we are all reacting to your most recent comment that you're tickled that you don't have the protest from 2016.
16, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your concern. Your concern was that there
one
would
of
be
my
protests
concerns.
from...
That there would be, if you remember, I said previously that I'd told my daughter that no matter who wins, we're going to be in trouble.
That's what you said in 2016?
Yeah. No, I said that at our last meeting, that whoever wins, the other side's just going to be so upset.
Well,
You know.
So I want to know why you went to 2016 and you skipped over 2020. When you talk about unrest and the rabble, right? The protest.
Immediately.
I just let me finish my question because 2020 was a really kind of it was a traitorous act against America. And so
Are you speaking about?
I'm talking about January 6th,
Okay.
2020. I'm talking about protests after an election and when somebody who you don't like gets elected and what you do. So my question to you is, why 2016 and why not 2020? Why were you not worried this time that 2020 would happen again? Why were you worried 2016 would happen again?
2 days after the election. 2 days after the election in 16 was whenever all the protest was, as cars burnt and so forth. It did not happen in 2020. We go to January the 6th, several months down the road.
Okay, but that's still a protest in response to an election. So are you worried about January
This time
of
around,
2025?
at this point in time, no.
And
Now-
why is that? Why are you not worried about January 2025, sir?
Why am I not?
Why are you not worried about there being a peaceful transfer of power in January of 2025? Because we did not have a peaceful transfer of power in January 2020, and that is the first time that has happened in this country. And, you know, I am someone who has sworn to
There-
uphold the Constitution, and I take the actions that happened that day very personally.
Well,
and so if we are talking about what happens when people are upset because somebody loses, and you go to 2016 and you don't go to 2020. I mean, I just want to know, why are we skipping over people storming the Capitol and attacking police officers?
The storming of the Capitol, I watched on TV, the Capitol Police pulling gates out of the way saying, come on, this is your house, come on in. I watched videos of that. Now, not over everything, but over much of it. People who just walked through the Capitol are in jail now.
Just walked?
Just walked inside the Capitol.
So
yes,
the individuals
prosecuted.
you're referring to that opened gates were officers by themselves that were attempting to lead the crowd to a barricade of officers in riot gear behind them. They were by themselves.
What I seen was
During their
pulling
life.
it out of the way. This is your house. Go on in.
14 people died. 140 officers have irreversible damage from the protesters where they had to be on medical retirements. I mean, they testified, calling for help the entire time. And there are videos of these guys screaming at the top, please stop doing this. And don't get me wrong, if there are individuals that got caught up in that walked through the Capitol, that got swept up with the prosecution, sure. Is that possible? But I think they were kind of let go eventually.
But
No, there's some of them still in jail now.
They shouldn't,
Let me just make my point. The reason I was asking these questions is because you want us to shut up. The whole point is not
No,
protest.
I don't want
the
you to
point
shut
is
up.
Be quiet.
Never.
What you said was they didn't do anything after the 2 days after the election, and the people who you cheer for, they stormed the Capitol trying to overturn the election. And you were concerned about 2016.
There
and my whole
was
thing is,
some people
what I want
that
to
stormed the Capitol.
Can we let Bunmi speak?
my problem is that the fear that a lot of people have right now and that they are feeling is that we will not be in a space where a voice that is not your voice is able to be heard safely, where a life that doesn't live like your life is able to live that safely, okay? That's what's happening. And it's happening because you're more worried about them fussing than you are about them storming the Capitol, and you don't even think they're gonna storm the Capitol. You know for a fact they're gonna do exactly what they're supposed to do, because that's what we're supposed to do. It's y'all who don't do what you're supposed to do. Now you've won. And
Are you assuming that I'm racist? Is that what you're implying?
wow.
Well, no, I don't think so. And
Is that
shouldn't
what
be.
you're
It
implying?
shouldn't be.
No, I don't think at all that's what's implied here. We're just having a conversation.
I think you're talking about the people he
would
cheered for, the people that you're
I'm
saying
not talking about
conservatives.
you. I'm talking about conservatives, yes.
okay.
And so when
Let's
I
say
say that, I'm going abstract, right? Because you didn't storm the Capitol. So when I say you, I'm talking in the collective. We're talking we, we're talking you in the collective because we're speaking generally, okay? And I did not say anything about race at all yet. Okay, so I
took the you people, reference.
yeah, but you're conservative, and you're from Montgomery, or you're from Clay County, and I'm from Charleston. I mean, you could be a lot of things, sir.
Hey, thanks for listening to this. We who've been working on the Us and Them project for the past decade believe that division and polarization in America is the issue of our times. We're here to wrap our arms and our minds around this challenge. In a splintered world, we believe that listening is one of the last bridges we have towards understanding.